All right, so the next one is when you're out in public, say Boston, you're downtown the Commons, you're walking through wherever you might happen to be. Whether you're in a tank top or not, you're definitely an impressive figure. So you're gonna get that comment, you know, hey bro, how much do you lift? And just questions of that nature. Some are more flattering than others, some are a little bit intrusive, but you've definitely had comments. And those comments, you know, may have affected you, may have affected people that were around you. There could have even been altercations. Can you tell me a few situations that you've experienced this and how those played out?
I've experienced every one possible. It used to bother me a lot more when I was younger, because it wasn't so much towards me. I was, you know, my brother, my older brother, had the sickest physique ever. You know, he looked like plastic, and he looked like a action figure. And everywhere we went, people would, and he was a good-looking kid, so everyone would stare at him, and you know, and then you would get comments, juice, and you know, back then I knew for a fact my brother wasn't doing anything. He was 180 pounds. It was just people. And to me, it was an insult. It was an insult to his hard work, and they were saying it in a derogatory manner. You know, if someone's like, "Oh man, Juice, you look fucking awesome," or like, fat belly and lean over to his wife, he's juiced. Yeah, that's a completely different story. Right. So I was a lot more aggressive back then, and I would go right up to them and say, "Well, what exactly do you mean by juiced? What's your opinion, and what do you get to say about that?" And you know, 9 times out of 10 people would back down and be like, "Oh no, bro, I didn't say that." You know, okay, whatever. I would embarrass them in front of their girlfriend while they were trying to do exactly the opposite. Right. They were trying to, you know, embarrass my brother. But through the years, I cared less and less about what people say, and I just ignore it, and for the most part, and actually wear it as a badge of honor. Like, you know, I just made that guy feel really terrible about himself because I must look good. Right. You know, that you have to make a comment. And then or
you're just that noticeable. You know, you do stick out in the crowd.
Of course, you know, and I've always gone back to the fact that I didn't train this way, and I didn't do this to fit in. Right. I guess it's a form of body modification, like is people that put horns in their head or giant rings, bullnose rings, and you know, it's a form of modification that you do not look like everyone else. Right. And I don't want to look like everyone. I never wanted to be like everyone else.
But yours is a form of body modification, okay, but it's also a form of your profession.
Right.
This is an extension of what you do for a living as well. And then you have guest posing, etc. You have to maintain a certain physique in order to make any sort of monetary gains for that. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So I've taken pride in it and moved forward. You know, now I'm back to the situation where my wife takes it a lot more seriously than I do.
Do you have an example? Because
all the time.
Can you entertain with
yeah, well, we'll be out to eat, and she's like, "Those people are staring at you." I'm like, "It's fine. I don't really care." And then finally she'll be like, "Take a picture. You want to take a picture? Come over. He'll take a picture with you." And they're like, I'm like, "Why you do that?" I'm like, "I don't care. You know, oh, she's the best when it comes to like supporting me or defending me. She's an old school Italian. She'll make a scene. She's 100 pounds, but she thinks she's a 400-pound gorilla.
And you usually travel everywhere with your bodyguard?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. And yeah, she'll make a scene happily if someone does something, which I don't typically, unless it is very egregious and it needs to be addressed. Right. You know, I might be at here's a good example. I was with my boy Carmine, one of my closest friends. He's awesome, and him and his kids and his wife, and we went to a Red Sox game, and and it was hot as hell, and I had a tank top on. And at the time, his kids were, one was early teens, one was like 10, and some kid got hammered. hammered. He was sitting behind me. And Carmine stood up and was clapping. And the guy starts getting mouthy, sit down, sit the hell down. You know, he's getting way too much. And I turned and I said, relax, dude. And he turned and put his forearm in my throat, but he was this little shit. He just got hammered and
Right. Liquid courage.
yeah, I forgot what he was doing. I don't know, or whatever happened. But I stood up and turned around, and I was like purple, I didn't know what to do, because, you know, we had these young kids with me, and they were getting scared. And then his buddy was like, no, time to go. He's like, I'm so sorry. He's like apologizing.
This was the guy who made the comment the first.
His friend did, yeah. And his friend escorted him out. They left. It was only like the fourth inning, and they never came back. And it wasn't like I think I'm the toughest guy in the world, but at that point, you put your hands on me.
Right.
You were a mess. He was legless, and I wasn't. And safe to say, it would have been at the very least, a good fight.
Have you ever had altercations? Specifically, have you ever been out at the bar? Have you ever been, you know, somebody gets that liquid courage in them and they start to challenge you, or they try to impress their girlfriends? Have you ever had a situation such as that?
Yeah, but you know, the older you get, the more you try to avoid those. Back then, that was probably 15 years ago, and it stands out because it was clearly like it was. He came after me thinking he was, you know, he was trying to make an example of me, use me to make himself look tough. Like, it was stupid. But I don't buy it. I want to go as stress-free as I can.
Right.
But there's a million examples that I could come up with, you know. Anywhere I go, in the airport, in the, you know, anyone I sit next to on a plane, it's like, Jesus Christ, what do you eat? You know, what are you doing? Why do you have to sit next to me?
Well, are you in the economy seats in the middle section?
Yeah, I don't ever
large people on the side.
Yeah. You know, it could be anything. And something I'll be going through the drive-through, Dunkin' Donuts or something. You can't see me, but you can see my face. What are you, a fighter? You MMA? You wrestle? I'm like, would I have muscles in my nose? What do you, like, how can you tell?
Right.
But they can tell. It's weird.
Well, you stick your arm out the window and there's a 20-inch arm coming out, so, or more.
So there's all types of examples. There's all types of, you know, whatever. But
so, you know, there's that biggest guy theory. The biggest guy, you get that way, and then nobody will ever bother with you. Is that true, or is it the opposite, or is it a little both? What would you say?
Well, nowadays it's you know, they used to say you're in a bar and you get in a fight, you knock out the biggest guy. Everyone else will back down. Well, that's not true, because everyone's carrying guns now.
Right.
Doesn't matter who you are.
But back when we were younger, years ago, there was a little less on the guns, right?
Sure. Now everyone, you get stabbed or shot. That ends that. I don't care how big your lat spread is. You can reach your kidneys with a knife real easy, you know?
Trouble, right?
Yeah, liver, whatever it is. You know,
Do you still find that to be true, though? You find the biggest guy, is that what happens to you at times? Or
they try to make an example of me or try to make me look dumb. There's always going to be those assholes. I could be at an amazing party, a high-end, you know, where the mayor could be there, and someone gets a little too drunk. Someone tries to, and then just inadvertently something dumb comes out. Right. And, you know. And
now do you just handle it by walking away as you've gotten more mature?
Yeah, I know, and I would try to have a clever way to come back. Right. And say, well, you know, I definitely took my share of supplements, but you should probably get on them yourself. You look fat as hell, you know. You're probably not going to live very long at this rate. Right. You know, you look 75, you're only 50. Right. I would use that tactic. Right? Make them think about what they did. Because often the mind is the strongest thing, you know. Long after my muscles are gone, I would hope my mind is still witty and smart enough to have an impact. You know?
Well, there you have it, folks.
Yep.
This is the Boston Mass. Thanks again for watching. Now, if you're not subscribing, subscribe now. Tell all your friends to subscribe. If you haven't, do it now. All right?